Good evening. The clean-up continues across the region as communities come to terms with the damage caused by the floods. Some parts are still under large areas of water, and it could be weeks before the water recedes. Lee Comley reports.
The village of Sevenstoke is even quieter than usual today. Affecting around 30 homes, this recent bout of flooding has left many of the roads under several feet of muddy water. The birds were singing, the church's bells on a timer were still ringing out, but otherwise all was quiet. The villagers of Sevenstoke have thankfully had a slight reprieve today as the weather has held off. Many are now starting to clean up their homes and businesses, and the attention moves on to what happens next, so they can stop flooding like this happening again. There's been talk of defences for the local area. Previously they've been told it would be too expensive, and that the number of people affected is just too small.
The scheme to protect the village is around £850,000, and it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money in the scheme of things, and particularly in the cost of insurance companies and firms repairing all of the houses on a frequent nature. We all know we live on a floodplain, but none of us, I don't think, expected this freak of nature so frequently and so vehemently as this has been.
Today, insurance chiefs told ministers at Downing Street that it would take months to properly assess and repair the damage caused by the flooding. The industry says it's paid out £14 million since the end of last year. The Prime Minister is urging the companies to deal with claims as quickly as possible. Roads are starting to reopen in other parts of the region, including the bridge in Worcester. But the leader of the council, Adrian Gregson, is now calling on the government to pay for another bridge to keep traffic moving and businesses going when the river floods. The Severn is currently still high and flowing fast, but it's hoped the level will start to go down slowly.
There's been a lot of rain that's come down in the Welsh mountains, so that's going to take a few days to come down. There's little bits of rain forecast throughout the week which will keep on adding levels, keep on topping up to levels, but the overall picture is generally for river levels to fall gradually.
For now, Sevenstoke, like several other communities across the region, are making do and clearing up where they can. Then it's a case of waiting for the water to recede and for answers on how they can help to hold it back in future. Lee Comley, ITV News, Worcestershire.
2,000 people could lose their jobs at Wolverhampton City Council. That's more than a quarter of the entire workforce. The announcement came today as the council announced its proposed budget for the next year. It says it needs to save more than £66 million by 2018. The council leader says it's because of the fall in the amount of money he gets from the government.
The impact is that whereas in 2010 we might have had £10 to spend, in 2016 we will have just £6 to spend. You cannot make that sort of reduction without having an impact on services, and that is what is going to damage the city of Wolverhampton, hurt our service users and damage our staff as well.
More than £3,000 has been donated to help pay for the funeral of a pregnant woman who was killed after being hit by a car in Leicester. Paige Jackson, who was 22, died in hospital after the crash on Saffron Lane early on Saturday morning. An online fundraising campaign was started by her friend, and it reached its target within 24 hours. A 21-year-old man arrested in connection with the crash has been released on bail. A woman whose car was stolen from a village in Warwickshire is blaming a council for switching off the street lights. She says it's led to several break-ins in the area. However, Warwickshire County Council says partial street lighting has not led to a significant rise in crime. Phil Brewster reports.
It's 3 days since Hayley Bosworth's car was stolen. She'd spent the night at her sister's home at Birchmoor near Tamworth when she awoke last Sunday morning to find they'd been burgled.
I come downstairs to put my night bag back in my car and my bag wasn't there, and I thought I took it back upstairs, and as I got to the bottom of the stairs I realised I hadn't, and of course opened the curtains and my car had actually gone.
It was a similar story last December when thieves stole another car from the family's driveway. Hayley and her sister are convinced the reason they've been targeted is because the streetlights in the area they live are switched off between the hours of midnight and 6:30 a.m.
We're not the only people. My partner spoke to people in the street that have been having the same things done to them.
Warwickshire County Council says the policy is designed to save £500,000 a year in electricity costs, cut carbon emissions and reduce light pollution in the area. Warwickshire County Council told ITV Central that a report last year showed there hadn't been any statistically significant increases in crime that could be directly linked to the streetlights being switched off overnight. A further analysis of the impact of the switch to part night lighting on crime figures will take place once this has been operational for 12 months. Hayley's sister Jade says that's not the impression they were given by one of the police officers sent to investigate the break-in.
The police officer said it is in areas where the lighting's off and she must understand the crime. Why would someone working at the council know what's going on when they're just sitting in an office?
The County Council says both burglary and vehicle crime levels are both down from last year. But Hayley and her family say they won't feel safe until the streetlights are switched back on. Phil Brewster, ITV News, Birchmoor in Warwickshire.
Well, Warwickshire Police also sent us a statement in which they say house burglary levels are down in North Warwickshire, but we understand the effect this type of crime can have on our communities. We currently have a number of operations focusing on burglary because although the figures are down, we are not complacent. Now let's get the weather forecast from Lucy.
A short break. Whatever the weather. ITV Local Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
Hello, well, some good news for tomorrow. We've got a decent afternoon on the way with some sunny spells and mild temperatures. It's going to feel a little bit like spring before the wet and windy weather rolls in once again tomorrow night and on Thursday. It's moving in on a deep area of low pressure that's building out in the Atlantic that's going to send various weather fronts our way. You can see the isobars tightening, illustrating the strong wind, and then we'll see that rain from tomorrow night onwards. As for tonight, 1 or 2 showers, a frost-free night, but quite misty and murky, especially through the morning tomorrow before the sun comes out to play in the afternoon. See you then.
ITV Local Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
And that's all we've got time for tonight. As always, there are updates on our stories on the website. Just go to itv.com/central. We're back tomorrow morning with In Daybreak, but for now, from the late team, good night